disappointing defeat for Leicester City. Southampton have done the double over the Foxes. They move off the bottom of the table and they drag Leicester right back into the relegation mix. In the end, Carlos Alcaraz with the only goal of the game late in the first half, shortly after James Ward-Prowse has seen the penalty save. But Leicester had 4 or 5 clear opportunities to equalise and they couldn't take them. And in the end, they've been beaten by 1-0 here at St Mary's.
Amazing support tonight.
James Scowcroft, how do you sum that up?
We welcome back the women's team on Sunday the 12th of March when they face Blackburn Rovers.
It's a night where you look down there now, you see the Leicester players, they look at us as dejected. It's going to take some time to get over this, I think.
If you booked onto the Southampton FC Park and Ride service, please be aware the last shuttle will be
it's celebration for Southampton, that is for sure. Flair has gone off in the home end and there is real belief now that they can perhaps escape the drop themselves. James Madison heads over to the Leicester City fans and will give his shirt. But some worrying weeks lie ahead now after this defeat.
Yeah.
Leicester fans staying to applaud their team and I think to urge them forward as well. For those who have made the trip were hoping for 3 points to ease the relegation fears. Now they've only deepened ahead of the run-in. Full-time score at St Mary's. Southampton 1, Leicester City 0.
Yep, thank you very much, Chris. Down on the south coast alongside James, who stays with us for the next 20 minutes or so as we assess that really, really disappointing defeat at St Mary's. Matty Fryatt and David Nugent are with me in the studio to talk things through and to try and glean any positives from it, but there's not many, really.
Nah, it's obviously disappointing to lose the game against the bottom of the league. You know, we had the chances in the second half as well through Kelechi again with 2 gilt-edged chances, couldn't put it in the back of the net with a header, and one at a left foot shot from the edge of the box, and then obviously Harry at the end there hitting the crossbar. But again, I think the keeper just got a slight fingertip to it to put him off a little bit, but still, you know, if he just jumped that little bit higher, gets over the ball and it's in the back of the net, and we go away with a point which we would have taken, you know, before the game started.
Yeah, disappointing. Obviously, worst possible outcome in terms of don't lose the game, and that's what's ended, and Southampton have gone off the foot of the table. There was enough chances in the second half. You think of Iheanacho's header first half, second half. Fass also gets a free header, the one at the end with Harry Souttar, can he get over it? And just wasn't clinical enough. And when you look at Southampton, I think they only had one chance all game. Take away the penalty, but one chance. Second half, can't really remember them doing too much. So Leicester applied the pressure in the second half, but it's them big moments. They swing games, don't they? And unfortunately, on this occasion, Leicester weren't able to convert them chances. Don't get me wrong, there wasn't loads of them, but they were clear chances, and they weren't converted. And you get punished at Premier League level. It only takes one chance. Southampton finished theirs. Leicester didn't with their chances, and you come away with nothing.
James, we asked you about the mood before the game, didn't we, at Southampton, and what it was like, their home form being really poor this season. I guess it's polar opposite now, really, at full time.
Huge. They can't believe that they've won the game, I think. I don't think many Southampton fans turned up today believing in their team, and you could see that at times. Southampton weren't great, but the first goal was massive. It literally turned the game on its head. Maybe even the penalty, actually, that just gave them some hope that they could cause problems, they could get something. And then, to be fair, they got the goal. Leicester had a couple of chances, but they hung on. You know, the Bella Kotchop, the centre back, did everything. You know, put his head on, cleared everything. Leicester did have one or two moments. You know, hit the bar at the end. Iheanacho had a couple of chances. Maybe a draw was a fair result, but I also believe they didn't quite do enough in the game to really take the game beyond. You know, they're not a good Southampton team today. They're very, very nervy on the ball, and overall it's a very disappointing result for Leicester.
Yeah, what can you gauge the mood from the away end right now?
Yeah, obviously very disappointed. They've travelled in great numbers, 3,000 they sold out. You know, it's a few calling for the manager's head. Frustrations are getting to the better of people. Yeah, and it drags Leicester into a situation that they shouldn't be in, and that will be concern.
Yeah, I think that's a good word to use, isn't it, Matt, at the moment? Concern, because that is a concerning defeat, obviously losing to bottom of the league.
Major concern. In the end, it turns out to be a 6-pointer where Southampton are now looking up and only 3 points between themselves and Leicester. And Leicester now get drawn right into it. There's a cluster of teams in that bottom area. And you look at the game, and on reflection, did Southampton do enough to win it? Probably not. But then Leicester have got to finish those chances that came their way, and unfortunately ended up in disappointment. And it's a case of, can they go again? It's completely different next week at home. But start of the show, probably needed a clean sheet. I still fancied Leicester to win, but you're obviously giving a team a boost and conceding, and it's difficult to play from there, going always a goal behind or knowing that you're going to concede. You've always got to go and score, and today they weren't able to convert those chances, but got to just be a bit more solid defensively, and yeah, something to build on from there.
The annoyance, I guess, along with the frustration and the disappointment, is that Leicester had the chances. They could have won that 3 or 4-1.
Yeah, it's all about taking them, innit? If you don't take your chances, you get punished for it, like Southampton did. Obviously missed a pen, but then a minute later they won the up. You know, they kept going and took their chance, and keep on saying, like, we create the chances. You know, Kelechi's had 2 gilt-edged chances today and you couldn't hit the target. On another day, you probably
3.
3 with Harry Suter as well, 2 in the second half, 1 in the first half, and Harry at the end hitting the crossbar. So these are chances you got to take while you're at the bottom of the league, because you know, if you got Chelsea at home next, it ain't going to be an easy game. But if you look at the league table, from 12th downwards, there's a 6-point gap between Palace and Bournemouth, who are now bottom of the league. So it's getting really crampy down there, and Leicester needs to find a couple of results just to try and get out of it, and try and rather look up than looking behind them instead.
Yeah. How disappointing is it when you're in a dressing room and you know you've come off a really important game like that, and there have been chances that have been squandered?
Yeah, especially Kelechi. Kelechi will be gutted in the changing room. He knows he hasn't scored the chances that he probably should have hit the target with today, or make the keeper work at least. You know, so he'll be really down in the changing room. He'll have his head down there, but he's got to pick him back up, and you know, it's a new game next week. You know, you've got to forget about this game now. You know, it's a defeat against bottom of the league, but you know, you can't dwell on it. You've just got to pick up, get back into training, have a good week's training, and just get ready for Chelsea.
Yeah, as David rightly says, I mean, the table's just on the right-hand side of the screen there. 6 points, James, separating 12th from bottom. Leicester slap bang in the middle of that, really, with 24. So there's a big month, really, coming up for the Foxes.
It's huge. It's a real dogfight now between a lot of teams. I think that result today, Crystal Palace down to Southampton now, you can throw a blanket over the lot of them. There's still enough games in the season. We're not quite, is there 13 games after tonight, so still a lot of points to be played for. But there's going to be some nervy moments. There's going to be some, you know, you almost look at the game next week really, and at Chelsea it can't come soon enough to put this little, Leicester need 3 points, they need that big win. Today would have been that. Today would have taken them away and given them that breathing space, and then you can look forward to the next game. But the games are going to be tense now because it's that dogfight between those teams.
Yeah, they just came at the wrong time, really. Well, there's a couple of things that have come at the wrong time. The World Cup, Leicester on brilliant form before that came. They struggled to pick up again afterwards, and then there were those 2 brilliant wins over Villa and Tottenham. 2 really difficult games came after it, and they've not been able to recover since then. Well, certainly since the Blackburn game, and then tonight as well.
Yeah, it's been a tough week, hasn't it? But then you think a few weeks back, like you say, 2 really positive results, and even against Brighton picked up a good point at home. And then you've got to look at the positive. Leicester did create more chances than Southampton. It's just at the top level, one team gets that chance finisher, the other team doesn't. But then on the positives, you're getting into them areas. Kelechi will be disappointed that he hasn't been able to convert the 3 chances that he had, which were golden opportunities at this level. But at the same time, he's trying, he's in those areas, and on another day, perhaps next week, or what we saw beforehand, he finishes those, but you just feel at the moment it's going all against Leicester, and that one at the end with Harry Souttar, if you're on a bit of form or confidence, that goes in, as instead he can't quite get over it, and then it sails over the top, well, hits across the top of the crossbar and goes over. It's just them fine margins, and just got to dust yourself down and go again and look at it and think, how can we improve on it? Can we be a bit more clinical? And then make sure that we can be more solid, that we don't allow the team other opportunities, and sort of build a bit of momentum and try and get clean sheets again. There's conceding too many goals, even if it's just one chance. But you know that if you do concede, you're going to have to score. So got to sort of address that and dust themselves down and go again, but take it back a couple of weeks and it was a completely different thing. But again, in football, confidence is a big part of it.
I'm spoilt for choice somewhat with having 3 strikers to choose from and talk to. Normally it's 3 defenders, but the chances in particular, we spoke about the header in the first half. I guess similar in the second with the header. The chance that he had on his left foot when the keeper played it to him. Will Iheanacho be more disappointed with that than with the 2 that he missed with the head, do you think?
Yeah, the left-footed one, he tried to put in the top corner, and he just side-footed with a pace in the bottom corner, and it goes in. He's just put too much purchase on it, leant back a little bit, and it's gone over the crossbar. But even the header, he's got to go. For me, he's got to go back across goal in the second half. It was a great ball in, and he's just got to go back across goal. And the keeper's basically, he's gone to his left and he's going to go there. He goes back across goal, he scores a goal. But again, on another day, they go in. It's just one of them games for Kelechi today where everything he did just never happened for him. But in previous games, you've seen his quality that he's got. It just didn't happen for him on today's occasion.
Yeah, which, particularly given what had happened to Kelechi, the Premier League Player of the Month nomination, he was so good against Villa, so good against Tottenham. Okay, there's a few chances maybe that he had against Manchester United, but De Gea made a brilliant save. So it's just sad to see that he was clearly just out of confidence today, out of form today.
Yeah, no, just chances. Yeah, you just got to be positive. If going into the next game, strikers there, you miss chances. You don't score every chance you get. It's just about, he's had 3 gilt-edged chances and they've all proven costly, because Leicester needed one of them to go in to try and get something out of the game. But again, Matty keeps on saying a clean sheet win game as well. And if Leicester did score, the defence have something to hold on to as well. So, but when you can see them first goals, you always start to chase the game, and it makes it a little bit harder. The pressure's on you to score then, and maybe it got to him a little bit towards the end, because it looked like some of his passes were going a bit wayward towards the end of the game as well. But again, you just got to put it behind him, and hopefully next game he can, get that form back like we've seen against Tottenham and Aston Villa where he scored the goals, and hopefully he can get back on form. Yeah,
unfortunately we've lost the connection to St Mary's, so we can't hear from James again, but it's a struggle to really find the words, because it is extra frustrating. We've been sat here a lot after defeats this season. Unfortunately, there's been a number of them. I think this was one of the hardest to take because of those chances that Leicester had, and because it was against the team that were bottom of the league.
Yeah, it's always when you get those chances feeling disappointment and frustration. The positive, Kelechi was in those positions. Harry Souttar was in that situation at the end. But you try and take some positives from it. Southampton didn't create too much. They were just clinical with the one chance that they got and take away the penalty. But it is difficult because of the opposition you play against. They'd only won 1 previous at home up until this game, so it's just a case of the team you're playing against, you feel a bit more deflated from it. Say, for example, it was the other week against Arsenal, you've still come away with the same outcome as a 1-0 defeat, but doesn't feel as drastic as this. But I think it comes together when you've had 3 defeats in the week, obviously going out in the cup against Blackburn, and then obviously giving some momentum to what you class now a relegation rival in Southampton. So it's been a poor week, but the players have got to dust themselves down. Brendan's got to dust himself down and go again and look at the positives and sort of can they play on that, and then look ahead to the Chelsea game and try and build on something to go forward. Can you get that energy, that intensity that was shown against Tottenham, against Aston Villa?
1-2.
And sort of try and put this as far behind as possible, even though at times Leicester probably did create more than what Southampton did.
It was brilliant from James Maddison, wasn't it, David? Right at the very, very end to create the chance for Harry Souttar. did he do anything in particular wrong, or was it just really unlucky that he just didn't quite get high enough to head it and it hit the crossbar?
I think that's just how the game went, all for the 90 minutes, didn't it? You know, it was just everything was so nearly in. But again, Maddison again, the creator. Obviously, he created the first chance for Kelechi in the first half, and then the second half, he's done unbelievably well down the left hand side. You know, whipped the cross into the box. You know, I think the keeper might just got a fingertip on it to put Harry off, but he gets on the end of it, hits the crossbar, goes over. On another day, it goes in. But I think that was just the way it went on for the whole game there. You know, it was nearly there, nearly chances. But on another day, we put them in and we come away with a point, maybe 3 points if you put them chances away. It's just annoying, frustrating.
Yeah, it's always good seeing a goalkeeper come up for a corner or for a free kick, isn't it? And it nearly worked, I guess, really. From that, it was from the corner, obviously not originally the ball that went in, but then it was reworked and the ball went in and he was free at the back post. But just, it summed it up, like you said. Yeah,
It's not happening for Leicester today. You know, you can obviously dominate possession. You know, shots on not on target. We had 11 shots on goal, only 0 on target. Sums it up really. And if you don't hit the target, you're not going to score. And if you're not going to score, then you need to keep clean sheets. And we didn't do that today. Southampton had basically one chance after the penalty and scored it, and basically sat back and tried to hit Leicester on the counter attack all game. And you probably say Leicester were the best side, created the best chances, but you know, it's 1-0 Southampton. You know, no one cares. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's a good point. It's the one stat that matters, isn't it?
Yeah. We saw a graphic before. I think when Southampton had played, there was not a lot between the games. Although they were losing by the 1. And obviously it's gone roles reversed today for Leicester. They've lost by that 1 goal, but it's a 1-0 defeat, whatever way you look at it, regardless if it's against Southampton, Arsenal, whoever. It's, again, a defeat. And a difficult one to take, especially with those chances and against the opposition. It just draws them back in and gives a rival a boost and sort of deflates the Leicester players, the Leicester fans, the Leicester staff. It's a difficult one to take because of what position Southampton are in, but again, it's gone now. It's a case of looking at what was good, dressing themselves down, what wasn't so good, and what can be built on over difficult February, and sort of try and put this sort of away and focus on there's still a lot of football to be played between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, there's an awfully long way to go. I'm just looking now at the fixtures. So after Chelsea next week, it's Brentford away, Palace away, Villa at home, Bournemouth at home, and you look at that and you think that there are definitely points to pick up against. Well, 3 of those 4 teams, well, 2 maybe of those 4 teams, certainly maybe in the mix in those 18.
Yeah, at all. Chelsea are not flying with all colours at the minute, are they? You know, they've got a good results there against Leeds, but you know they're managed under pressure. You know, Chelsea aren't who they used to be. You know, they're lagging in 10th in the league at the minute, so that's a winnable game. You know, Brentford will be tough. You know, Brentford are a real quality side under Thomas Frank, and you know probably punching above their weight. And then it's probably the 2 home games where you're looking forward to, you know, picking the points up, and obviously that'll be one of the game in hands as well, where Leicester need to pick up points and try and get away from this relegation zone. But as you said, I don't think there's any easy games in the Premier League. You know, they're all tough. Everyone's fighting for their lives. Everybody wants to play in the Premier League, and even though they look nice on paper, I wouldn't say it's a guaranteed 3 points. You know, because everyone's fighting to stay in the Premier League, not just Leicester.
Yeah, it's absolutely massive, isn't it? That game with Chelsea next week, as you say, against the side that are struggling a little bit themselves, certainly for goals. That's for sure. But the Leicester players and staff, they'll need the fans on board next week, won't they? King Power Stadium will have to be rocking next week.
Yeah. If Leicester go off to a good start, they play with the willingness to go forward and try and put Chelsea under pressure. The fans will get behind them. So you know, we need a good start. You know, it's usually slow starters, but if we can come out the traps, you know, put Chelsea under pressure, try and get the first goal and have something to hang on to, I believe the fans will get behind them and try and get us over the line and try and get the 3 points.
Which is what we saw against Spurs, of course.
Yeah, that game electric. In terms of the performance, there's high energy, tenacity, and the fans were completely behind the team, and then everyone was lifted because of it. Even today, you've got 3,000 fans going to support your team. Didn't quite work out, but the fans are still behind the players, the management. It's just a case of get going. But I think at home you've just got a little bit more within ascendancy and sort of put your game onto them. It was a little bit different today, where the onus is on the opposition, with them being the home team. Fortunately for Southampton, they got the opening goal and had something to hold on to, as Leicester had to then force the game and create the chances, and it did get a little bit open. But home, it's completely different, and we saw against Tottenham the place was buzzing, and it transmitted with the energy with the players onto the pitch. If we can replicate any type of performance like that, Leicester will be fine. But it's these moments and this week in particular that's been difficult, and you do worry, and there is concern, obviously getting drawn into this relegation scrap. But again, if they play anywhere near like they can, and what they did against Tottenham, they should be fine. But, and you said to those fixtures, on paper it looks favourable. But again, today, you'd fancy Leicester more than Southampton. It didn't quite materialise.
You're here for us next week for that Chelsea game. So, again, without over-egging it, it is massive.
Massive game. You know, you say, like, I think Leicester are in the relegation dogfight now. You can't hide away from it. You know, you can't keep saying, oh, we'll win this game, we'll be out of it. Mate, there's a lot of games coming up where we need 3 points and all the other teams seem to be winning below us. So Leicester need to pick up points somewhere, so why not start up against Chelsea, who are a team who are not flying with all colours, as I said earlier. It's a massive game, but if we can still create the chances and start hitting the target and start scoring a few goals, I don't think it'll be a problem. But we need Maddison playing well, we need Kelechi scoring the goals, we need Tete being positive, Harvey being positive. Obviously went off for half time today, don't know if that's tactical or injury because he was limited in the first half. But we need something, and hopefully we can get that spark against Chelsea and start with like another run that we can go on and try and pick up a few results.
We spoke about it before the game. We talked about how it's when you're not creating chances, that's when you really start to worry. So obviously again today, the chances were there, but we've not spoken about Wout Fass's chance from a corner, which was a really good one as well. So at least they are still creating them.
Yeah, creating them. Just today, just not hit the target. As you said, 11 shots not on target. You know, Southampton had 5 there on target. They tested the goalkeeper. We didn't test them once. You know, we just couldn't get that one that we needed to go on target to get in the back of the net. And as you said, if Maddison plays, the chances do come thick and fast. But it's just about the strikers and wingers and whoever wants to chip in, you know, putting them away.
Yeah, is it a really tough place, a lonely place, a dressing room during these moments?
Yeah, it can consume you. You overthink everything. It can be really difficult, but you've got there's experienced players within that dressing room. Got to get yourselves together, look at what was good, stay. You're only going to get out of trouble or start moving up as a collective. You've got all buy into that. And again, touching on that Tottenham game, the energy was there. Against Villa, the energy was there, and you keep on going. And today it wasn't. Although we've seen Leicester play a lot better, they still created chances. It was a case of didn't convert them, and possession-wise, what was 65% in Leicester's favour, so they did sort of outplay Southampton. It's just a case of can you get those chances, but also defensively you do need to start getting a bit more solidity and hopefully keep a clean sheet for something to hold on to and build to, not knowing that you're always going to go behind or you've got to go and score more than one to take something out of the game. So that's stuff to work on. But if they stay together and keep on applying themselves and getting to them positions, it will turn. It's just been a really difficult week.
Yeah. Hopefully it will get better, of course, and hopefully next week will be a little bit better indeed than it has been. Obviously a defeat to Blackburn in the Cup, and then today at Southampton. We've got plenty more to come here on LCFC TV over this next week. Of course we'll have Matchday Live before the game with Chelsea on Saturday. It is a 3 o'clock kickoff, so you can join us from 2 p.m. Before that, of course, we've got extra time from 6 p.m. Matt Elliott, Ewan Roberts and Tony Cotty are the guests for that. And then if David Nugent being with us today and next week for the Chelsea game wasn't enough, there's a brand new podcast available tomorrow. Leicester's the place. That'll be Jerry Taggart and Matt Elliott in conversation with David Nugent. It is a great listen. I'll watch that. You can watch it on YouTube as well, all about your career and a few extra little bits to go alongside that with some interesting stories as well. That's all we've got time for. Thank you very much to Matty, to David, and of course to James Scowcroft down at St Mary's on what's been another bitterly disappointing evening for the Foxes. Good night.